Okay, so this is the house. As you can see, there's a long driveway on the left-hand side, and the Craftsman bungalow, about 1,300 square feet. We are on a busy road here. Got the park opposite. This is the sewer line clean out, and the sewer line runs all the way down the driveway and loops around the back of the house. We had that replaced when we first bought this place, trenchless. And the main electrical service comes in here. It's an overhead service, comes from across the street. This is a 100 amp panel, so will need to be replaced. That's the entrance to the house. Let's walk down the driveway. Got a couple of gutters down here. The sewer line comes down here, ties into that pipe there, which goes to the main bathroom. Okay, so this is the backyard here. So there's kind of a high point in the driveway, and it goes down, all drains down here, and it's actually lowest sort of over there. So we've had a lot of rain over the last few days, and as you can see, actually this area gets flooded, and most of the garden actually becomes waterlogged. And the crawl space at the back here in the main house floods as well, and there's the sump pump there. So this is the old detached garage. It's about 510 square feet, about 44 feet long, and I think it's about 11 feet wide here, and it's about 12 feet wide here, or maybe 10 and 12. It's definitely seen better days. Have a quick look inside. So as you can see, we've got a lot of stuff to move out of here. There's my laser level. So that's the property line on one side and property line at the back. And it's almost like a tarmac slab here. It's really quite wavy, and more of a proper concrete slab foundation at the front of the garage here. I'm not sure how long this thing's been standing for, but the house was built in 1912. Okay, so the sewer line comes down around the back here. It loops around this area to the other side of the house. Just show you that. So it comes in around here, and got the ductless mini split there, the Mr. Cool. Got our tankless water heater inside the crawl space, and that's about it. So the first step before we started the demolition was to get a company out to scope and sonde the sewer line. And the goal behind this was really to locate the sewer line, the exact location of it, where it comes down the driveway and where it loops around the back of the property, and then also determine the depth of that sewer line at various points. because that was going to be important for tying in to that sewer line to ensure that we had adequate slope and fall on the sewer line that we were going to plumb in. And so you can see he's actually looking down the camera. One guy is putting the camera into the sewer line through a clean out. And this segment of the sewer line actually has a small belly in it. And you could probably see some water in the line there. And the camera has this thing called a sonde, and that is a transmitter. And the guy you can see on the screen has a receiver. And so that thing, it makes this weird noise. And the sort of more high-pitched it gets, the closer you are to the location. And it can also tell you how deep the transmitter is. So what we're doing is sort of going through at various points on the lot along the sewer line to mark out where it is and also the depth. And so I've got some spray paint here, and so we're going to mark it. And so this is really helpful to, again, make sure we tap in at the correct position at a depth where we know we'll have adequate fall coming from the ADU. It helps us know where to dig. So, we know we're going to hit the sewer line. So the plumber knows where it is. They're not digging around trying to find it. And they can also be careful about damaging that sewer line as they dig. So this company, I think they charged about $200 to come out and scope and sonde the line. That piece of equipment they're using is pretty expensive. That's one of the rigid ones. Sort of professional piece of equipment. I think it's about $7,500. You can buy much cheaper ones on Amazon. I'm not sure whether they're as good. So you can see he marked a 2 there. That means that it's 2 foot down, and the line sort of indicates the direction of the sewer line. And he's looking at the camera. I think he's in part of the belly there because you're not getting a clear picture. There's probably some water and some debris. So again, I think he's pointing out the belly. And now I think it's coming into to an area of the pipe where there isn't a belly. We never had any drainage issues, but not yet anyway. I had to shop around for this service. $200 was one of the better quotes that I got. Some people are asking for a lot more. I'd say 200 is pretty fair. It doesn't take that long when you know what you're doing and when you have the right equipment, but the equipment is quite expensive. So, I appreciated the job that these guys did. So they're just tracing that line as it comes around the corner of the main house. Okay. And we're coming close to the area where I was anticipating we were going to tap in. But now the rubber's really meeting the road because we're actually figuring out exactly where that sewer line is and exactly how deep it is. And we're also planning how tall or the elevations of the slab of the ADU. So all of this is important stuff to consider. So there's a belly here somewhere. The last thing you want to do is have your slab way too low, meaning that your sewer line will be coming into your slab, sitting at the top of the slab, which is obviously not even possible in order for it to get enough fall. That's where the sag starts. Mm-hmm.
right here, okay?
Okay.
That's. Okay. Matilah. Ay, hola. Espera. Two feet. So this is 2.9, 2.8. Ay, asin. That's it.
So as you can see, these guys are continuing to map out the sewer line all the way along the driveway and down to the street, which is where it connects to the main sewer line. And so, you know, they're finding exactly where it lies, and then he's telling me the depth, and I'm marking that out in feet and inches. And so, you know, this is an important process because when we put together the architectural plans, I knew roughly where the sewer line ran, but I didn't know exactly. And so I didn't know exactly where the best place to tap into that sewer line would be. And actually it ends up being a little bit further down the driveway than I'd originally planned, because that area of the sewer line is straight, which is going to be easier to tap into. It's also a little bit deeper, which gives us a little bit more fall on the line to the ADU. This sewer line was replaced when we first bought the house using trenchless method. And so it essentially pulled a new line through the old clay line that was there, that had been completely obliterated by roots. And that line was probably decades, if not like a century old. And so it probably had settled over the years. So this line isn't perfectly straight, you know, as you would make a line if you were excavating and laying a fresh pipe. So, you know, that's just one of the factors you've got to consider. So this was a really useful process to really understand exactly where the sewer line is and to help us plan for where we were going to tap into that sewer line for the ADU to give us enough fall. So as you can see, he's just heading further out to the street. At this point, the line's pretty straight, just runs along the side of the house, and it gets deeper and deeper as you get to the front, because one, the driveway is sort of sloping up at this point, but also because you have to get deeper towards the street to actually tap into the main. The main sewer line, I think, is about 4 foot down at the street level, which is lower than the high point of the driveway.
Four 4.2.
4.2. When you say point, do you mean inches or?
Yeah, inches.
Okay.
That's 32, 23, right? This is 12. 1, 12, that's
11.
12 plus 11.
Yeah.
12, that's 24, 11, 23.
24 plus 11, yeah.
That means 2 feet.
2 feet 11 inches.
11 inches.
Okay, got it.
3 feet.
4 inches.
4 inches.
4 foot.
And this is around 4 foot. Yeah. 4.3.
4.3.
Yeah, it's 4 point. Let's say 4.4.
So this is a few days later, and we've actually decided that this is probably where we're going to tap into the sewer line. At this point, the sewer line is a little bit deeper than it is around the corner. It's also straight, which allows an easier tap. You don't want to be tapping in, especially because it's a trenchless replaced pipe. So it's one single pipe that's been bent around a corner. So better to tap into this straight segment here. So you can see that we're just excavating down to reveal that pipe. Although you couldn't see it in that image, it was right by the bottom of that hole there. One of the things about this site is that the water table is very high. So if you dig down, as you could see, there was water pooling at the bottom of that dig, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. That's why we have a sump pump, and that's why we're installing another sump pump to help with the drainage of the garden and the French drains. So just before we get started with the demolition, I think at this point we're just checking some of the site elevations, making sure we have a good plan. You can see the laser level is out there. It's just checking the level of the slab, setting the level of the slab that we're going to put here. Checking where we need to put French drains, seeing where the lowest points of the yard are. So all of that's just good preparation before we turn this place into a bit of a mud pit. You can see the sump basin there ready to go. We've dug out the sewer line tap-in point that we provisionally want to use. And so now you can see this is the dumpster that's coming in. It's going to be left on our driveway to demolish the existing garage. And now this thing was pretty big. I think it's a 40-yard dumpster, certainly on the bigger end, quite tall. And we ran into some issues with this because once we loaded it up, it became so heavy that they couldn't get it off the driveway. It was actually digging into the cracked concrete of the driveway, and those roller legs you can see at the back were getting stuck. And so that actually created a big hassle. We had to jack the dumpster up at multiple points and try and get it off the driveway. Eventually we were able to do that, but we didn't put any more dumpsters on the driveway after that first attempt. But this one took away a lot of the waste, including the concrete and the wood. So you can see, it's a busy street here. This guy did a really good job of rolling this off. There's also an electric line above, so he's having to be careful about avoiding that. Definitely have a lot of appreciation for the numerous drivers that came out to the job site with trailers and dumpsters. They certainly knew how to maneuver around traffic. And so you can see the old garage here. It's pretty much ready for demolition. We've cleared it out, gotten rid of all the stuff, and moved it into the crawl space. It was full of a lot of stuff, and it's definitely seen better days. You can see there's a tarmac sort of floor at the back, a concrete foundation towards the front, a lot of wood that's seen better days, some rotten wood, but all of this is going to come out. And we figured that removing the roof would be the best place to start to get rid of that, to get rid of the shingles, to get rid of the sheathing, and then we can move on to the sides and then the foundation. That was going to be the safest way to demolish this thing. So this is the dumpster. Got this from a guy called Dan Broderick. He runs East Bay Dumpster, eastbaydumpster.net, I think it is. Anyway, he did a good job, and certainly his driver did a good job of getting this on the driveway. And you know, these things are pretty heavy duty. They get bashed around a lot. The other issue was this thing was quite close to the house, and so when it was full, it actually shifted a little bit closer to the house. And I was also worried about our sewer line because it's very heavy when it's full. So again, if I could go back, probably wouldn't have put this on the driveway, but it was certainly convenient to have it on the driveway from the point of view of loading. So here I am on top of the roof. We've removed some of the shingles. This is more of the roof having been removed and getting going on the foundation. A lot of the concrete's gone. This is a photo of earlier on in that demolition, but yeah, relatively thin concrete, tiny bit of rebar around the footers there, or the stem walls or whatever you call those. You can see the dumpster being loaded up, and you can see the issue that we had with the legs getting stuck in the driveway, and he's trying to pull it out. He's kind of touching the electrical lines, but being careful about those. You can see it's tilted towards the house, which is not what you want. It did end up hitting some of the siding, but that was easy to fix later on. You can see we've got the jack out, and you can see us jacking the back of the dumpster up. And here is the almost finished result. We've kept the property line sides of the garage up and propped them up from falling down, but you can see we've removed most of that structure now. And so we've got this big lot, and we can begin to get going on preparation for the new foundation and planning, the elevation of the slab. You can see one of the complications here is that the neighbor's yard is actually a little bit higher than our yard. And the plans call for the foundation to be at least 8 inches above grade, which meant that we had to raise the slab a little bit just to make sure that was so. Obviously, you don't want to be below grade because then you are susceptible to flooding. And as I already mentioned, the water table in this area is pretty high. So having a slightly raised foundation is certainly not a bad thing. The back... the neighbor's yard at the back is also higher than ours. So, just another consideration. But you can see the ground here, and you can see the remainder of that garage propped up. Of course, it's good to have some separation, to keep some separation, especially when you have pets. Here we are putting in a French drain. So we're putting a French drain basin, or a sump basin, behind this gate here. And this pipe is going to carry the French drain water to the sump basin. Also planning on tying in the downspouts into the sump basin, which will then pump to the street